Hi there, welcome to this week's market analysis. So as usual over here, we're going to look into what has happened for the previous week and what are some of the risk events you want to take note of for this upcoming week, as well as looking onto the charts to share with you some potential ideas and opportunities you want to keep an eye on. Now last week, we do have a couple of interesting events. First up, we do have the Canadian side of things, where Bank of Canada actually raised rates by 1%, which was a surprise to the market because many people were just expecting a 0.75, but the Bank of Canada actually hiked it even further. The other one that was important, was the US CPI over here. So it printed at 1.3. and core CPI at 0.7, which brings the US inflation to 9.1% overall as of now. And that actually gave, I would say, some fear and uncertainty to the market. And right now, many traders are pricing in a potential 1% hike from the Federal Reserve in the upcoming FOMC as well, right? So that's something to keep an eye on. Other than that, there's really nothing else, but I think these two events are pretty interesting to be watching into the future. Now going into the upcoming week, we do have a couple of data I think that is crucial. First up, we have the pound CPI year on year coming in on Wednesday. So again, this is important data because it's dealing with inflation, and you want to keep track. Again, the expectation over here is that inflation in the UK is going to hit 9%, or I would say 9.3, a further increase. If the actual data comes in less than expected, we might see the pound sell off a little bit, which means that the Bank of England might not need to be overly aggressive in its hiking process moving forward. Another one to keep an eye on is actually the Bank of Japan as well as ECB, which is going to happen on the Thursday. Over here you can see, of course, Bank of Japan is going to be tentative in the morning, and ECB over here is the very first time the market is pricing in a potential hike from the Europe side. So that's gonna be interesting as well, because the Europe has been falling quite significantly in terms of prices. If you take a look at the euro dollar and some of the euro pass and cross, the price of that has been falling. So if the ECB did in fact start to do a bit of a hike, we might see some relief rally coming from the euro currency itself. However, if the actual data comes in and the ECB did not hike, then we can see further selling pressure on the euro itself. So next week, I think the primary focus is going to be on the pound, Japanese yen, as well as the euro in terms of risk event. So with that, let's take a look at the charts and share with you some of the potential opportunities that you want to keep an eye on. Now first up, let's take a look at the dollar index overall. On the forward time frame, what I'm seeing over here is that there is a little bit of exhaustion in terms of the pattern that is displaying over here. So we're expecting a little bit of a pullback in the dollar after a huge run for this entire year. And the key level to keep an eye on in terms of the dollar index will be somewhere around 107.50. If market is able to take off this, then we can see a little bit deeper in terms of the retracement of the dollar index itself. So going into this week, my primary focus for dollar related currencies would be look for some relief rally in terms of the major pairs, and that actually translate to selling the dollar for the short run. So this week's primary focus on the dollar direction will be to look for sell opportunity in the USD. So going into euro, we kind of had a little bit of an inverse pattern with the dollar index. We kind of had a double bottom potential pattern developing over here with divergence building up already. And of course, this would be a very significant level on the euro side, 1.0120. If the market is able to take out this level here, combining with potentially some of the potential catalysts that can come from ECB on Thursday, if they in fact hike it or even hike it more aggressively, and price is able to take off that 1.0120 level impulsively, then this really opens up the euro dollar, where we can then see price potentially heading back towards 1.3080, which is where the previous support now turned resistance gonna be. Okay, so I think euro dollar is definitely one very significant and I would say important opportunities that you definitely want to have it in your watch list for this week. Now, the pound dollar here is also significant in terms of opportunities available. Right now, it's doing a little bit of what we call a crawl or a diagonal pattern, which the market is falling, but it's falling very, very correctively. We can see for the past couple of weeks and days. And usually this pattern can suggest that a potential reversal or at least a short-term pullback might be coming soon. And this kind of also align very nicely with the weakness of the dollar that we're looking for the week, right? So if dollar is gonna be doing a little bit of a relief rally, which is pullback, then some of these major pairs might also react accordingly, right? And of course, we do have the UK CPI year-on-year coming in as well. Okay, so we're gonna see how that kind of provide a catalyst on this. If we are able to break out of this pattern over here, especially on this higher trend line, there's a good possibility we can see more upside back towards the previous high here at 1.2320. Okay, so do keep an eye on the pound dollar as well. Now, in terms of the Aussie, what we have over here, okay, kind of very similar to the pound actually. Okay, we kind of had this pattern here, which, you know, it looks similar, not exactly the same, but again, this kind of suggests that there's a good possibility we're going to see a little bit of a rebound for Aussie dollar. Okay, and of course, the significant level over here to keep an eye on is the top of the trend line. If the market is able to break it off impulsively, maybe does a little bit of pullback, that will give you that buy opportunity to take it all the way back to its previous high, which is somewhere around 0.7070. Okay, so again, most of these majors in terms of patterns, they are showing similar direction for the dollar itself. So if you're again looking to trade all these opportunities concurrently, do take note of your total risk exposure, because we are trading in the similar direction for the dollar in terms of all this here. Yeah. Now, another one here to keep an eye on is dollar Canadian. Though I'm not personally too keen to be focusing too much on the dollar CAD as of now. Hey, we do have a little bit of a fake break on the dollar CAD as of last week. You can see a very strong move to the upside, but the reverse came back similarly in an impulsive manner. And if I were to put a horizontal line over here, you can see kind of like a fake break, right? So we have the top, the market broke it, but in a very short span of time, it decided to rebound back. So this is what we call a fake break, and this usually means trapping the breakout bias, and there's a good possibility this will probably continue to fall a little bit lower towards the previous significant level, somewhere around 2830. However, you know, this opportunity here might not be that significant, and therefore I'm personally not going to be monitoring too aggressively on the dollar Canadian. Okay, however, if you're interested, I think you might want to focus on a short-term play to the downside for dollar CAD over here. Okay, in terms of dollar franc, we're kind of seeing a little bit of a consolidation and stall as of now, right? After a nice little rally over here. So overall direction on the dollar franc, I'm still expecting upside towards 1.0030. However, this consolidation might take perhaps some time, give it another week or so. And if this develops into a very, very clear flat pattern, you want to be looking out for buy opportunity. Okay. However, I strongly believe that within this week, we might continue to see a little bit of a correction and consolidation on the dollar franc, and therefore it might not be presenting a very clear opportunity to be taking trades on. Now, last one here on the major, we have the dollar yen. Again, it's not a pair that I would personally look into too much for now, okay, because we are really not at a very significant level to be really looking at trades. The yen has been weakening, or I would say the dollar yen has been pushing higher and higher, week on week. And the pullback, other than this one here that you see, isn't really that obvious yet. Okay, so this is what I mean by obvious pullback. So I'm not too eager to jump into any buy trade here, because if the pullback were to start, okay, it can really pull back quite significantly, maybe back towards like 134, and I wouldn't want to be buying, and tap into that trade unnecessary. Okay, so for me on the dollar yen and the dollar franc, I would be a little bit patient. Okay, wait for another week or so, and let the market develop a little bit more, and I want to see a bit clearer in terms of like what is it exactly developing. Okay, so in terms of major pairs, I think the clearest opportunity presenting itself on the week here is the euro, the pound, as well as the Aussie dollar. Okay, now if you take a look at gold, we do have a little bit of a drop, right? A continuous drop here. However, if you go higher time frame, okay, the downside may be limited or capped. Okay, I mean, there's still a little bit room where you can fall towards the previous low at 1686. However, again, this is not a very attractive trade to be selling it. So from my perspective on gold, I would say you would rather want to be patient and wait for the market to continue falling, and then once it tagged this area, you want to see what market pattern is developing, right? Looking at things here, this would likely develop into a diagonal, and combining with a potential RSI divergence, there's a good possibility we're going to see that bounce from there. Okay, so gold here short term, unless you're doing like intraday scalping, I would suggest stay out of it at least for the first part of the week. See if the market touches 1686 area, and from there identify what are the pattern that is developing. Do we get a potential reversal opportunity? Okay, now last one over here on the equities as well as the crypto side of things. The S&P market as of last week is currently still developing a very nice consolidation, and we had a very nice little bounce to end off last week over here. And what I'm seeing over here is more of a flag pattern that has developed, and the bottom here as of now is around 3630 ish, right? So that's about 3637. So if the market is able to take out this high, okay, then we have a good chance that this will continue higher a little bit, perhaps back towards the previous top somewhere around this zone at 4100. Okay, so if you're looking at equities, I think next week might present you a rather clear direction in which you want to focus on, more towards the upside over here. Okay, lastly for the video over here is gonna be touching on Bitcoin. For me, Bitcoin as of now is still not the best time to be looking for trades. We are still trapped in this range bound environment, and currently the market is kind of like trading in between, or I would say in the middle of the top and the lower boundary. So most of the time these are the situations where you don't want to be taking any trades, right? Because it's kind of like 50-50 to the upside and the bottom. So Bitcoin, again, just be patient, don't be aggressive in jumping in, give the market some time, wait for a clearer pattern and opportunity, then only we're gonna be talking and jumping into potential trades. Alright, so that's all for me for this week. I hope again, a regular video like that is able to provide you some insights and highlight some of the potential opportunities that you want to keep an eye on for the week. So all the best to your trading, and gentle reminder again to always manage your risks, and I'll see you guys next week.